Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Everybody, I'm going to give you the heads up. Right now, it is minus 20 Celsius, and my internet has been wanting to cut out a couple of times in the process of trying to go live here. Hey, out of fright. It was just digital age. It was an internet issue. And you know what? We are in the beginning of the stages of the internet. And you know how far we have come already. Can you imagine just in 10 years where we are going to be, right? I hope we can keep up. And at the same time, I hope we can keep up, meaning, the computer's going to take a big load off of us, isn't it? In my day and age, it was the calculators. Now, the kids aren't even learning the concept of counting out money. You know, I teach cashiers, and I do find it difficult. And I notice that they need the cash registers to tell them how much money to give back to the customers, right? So there have been technologies that have been put into place that have had to ease up. Just in my Grammarly, here writing my community post for my Christmas Eve party, and Grammarly is in there wanting to correct me in all my little spelling and grammar errors, right? And it's making it so that I don't have to look for that. I don't have to be my own editor in that. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because we're in the beginning of this digital age, right? It's going to be in the future that we're going to find out, right? And somebody's got to make the first step, right? It is in the innovation, it's in people taking chances and not being guinea pigs, right? Watching out for our own well-being, but trusting that there are smart people out there, that there are lots of answers that could be had in this moment. And who's to say if this digital age is going to last forever, or if it's going to get even stronger and deeper and faster, right? And whether or not we're going to be able to keep up. For myself, I can see it would be very much a necessity for me to keep up, but it is a lost cause, right? It's like calligraphy and in writing, those things that we're learning right now, how it was so important for us to communicate with each other, right? Might not necessarily be the form that we communicate with each other in the future. And so some of the things we do now, like writing, like reading actual physical books, right? Even those are being something of the past, like an old video game, right? But that's innovation, and we have to stay on top of that, because if we don't stay on top of that, we're going to fall behind. But I'm thinking, right, we are moving so fast, it's going to be hard for anybody to keep up, right? And then who's going to be the smarty pants? Or should I say, what's going to be the smarty pants? Right? It's the digital age. It will be the technology. It will be the robotics, right? 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 I'm creating the best human being I possibly can. Right? I'm not making enemies with the robots. I saw that movie. What was that movie called? Legend with Will Smith. Yeah, that was a scary look into the possible future. For sure it was. But it's going to be in our choices. Really, it's going to be in our choices. You guys, I'm so proud of myself today. I said I was just going to totally slap. I told everybody at work I'm not doing anything this weekend. I am going to be such a slug. I'm not going to get out of my chair except to make a cup of coffee or get something to drink. And right, I tried not to make a lot of laundry so I wouldn't have to do laundry. And yet today I still did 4 loads of laundry. I bought a new duvet for my quilt. I put my foot through my quilt, but it's an amazing quilt. You know, sometimes we get attached to certain items, and I quickly got attached to, not emotionally attached to the quilt, but in the quality. It's an IKEA quilt. It was very expensive, not for me. I bought it thrifted, right? So it's not a much of a chance of this quilt coming in to the store anytime soon and me being able to get my hands on it. So I thought maybe I would put a patch on it, but it needs two patches the size of pillowcases. And who's to say how long that's going to last? So for the moment, the solution is going to be a duvet cover. I need the duvet cover anyway for my next quilt. If I should buy another quilt, I suspect that's what will happen, because this quilt is definitely on its last day, and I'm not going to be like Linus from Charlie Brown dragging around my ratty old secondhand quilt, right? But we got laundry done. We got a little bit of relaxation and lessons, and I got a little bit of the presents taken care of on this set of days off, right? I just wanted to relax and not do anything and recuperate. But the thing is, I recuperated. That energy is there. So now I have that necessity to do a little bit of catch up in what I feel I'm falling behind in, right? Tomorrow I want to do a video for next week. I want to do a video and wash all my rocks and show all my rocks from my trip for everybody. And then I want to start working on looking at content for my 10-year anniversary video. Now that I've caught up with the Christmas presents and all that, have a little bit of socializing to do over the holidays. I think pretty much I can devote myself, if I don't add onto the plate, take a little bit of hiatus, right? I'm still going to show up in my life, but showing up in my life is just showing up in my life, isn't it, Melvin? Melvin says, sorry, Cindy, I have no good cheer today. We was just an inside day. I had the, oh, you had the Hutterites make me a beautiful down-filled duvet cover for my ex's bed. She loves it. Was not cheap though. Oh my goodness. That sounds absolutely beautiful. I have this Hutterite bonnet, but it's crocheted. It's very unique. So I've been taking it to work, hoping one of the ladies would come in and I could talk them into making me a new one, because it's so old. It's getting really ratty, and I'd like to get a new one made while it's still recognizable in its design, right? And but I can imagine, I have a few ladies at work, a few colonies that come into my store, super nice ladies. Not last week, the week before, they brought me my Christmas box of baking, and it was stuffed full. It was so sweet of them to do that, but they love a good deal, right? So I'm not naive in thinking that, it's going to get them a couple of dollars off something that they purchase. But that's the understanding when you work with different communities, and they are a community I enjoy working with, wheeling and dealing and just socializing and talking to and asking curious questions, right? I thinking that if I should come back in my next life, that I might like to be a Hutterite. I think I might make a really great Hutterite lady. I'm going to be a lady no matter what going forward, right? I just want to keep coming in with that female persona every time I come in through a next lifetime, right? Okay. I chummed up with lots of hoots when I used to drive a concrete truck. Is that what you call them, hoots? They are good to know sometimes. I talk to the husbands. The husbands are really super funny. They have really dry humor. They come off as serious, but at the same time, they're checking out how smart you are and how fast you are on catching on to what they're doing. Right, the Hutterite men, super funny, and like I said, very dry humor, but very funny. Yeah. I used to buy my chickens off the Hutterite colonies. They would come by the apartment block and we'd buy a few Hutterite chickens and we lived off of those things. Oh my goodness, they were absolutely massive. Like they were the size of turkeys. They were so big. And yeah, we sure enjoyed those Hutterite chickens. But now in the fall time at work, they're bringing us in potatoes and tomatoes and like I said, I got my Christmas baking box last week. It was so cute. I had a little kid, one of my regulars, and she brought her son in. And he had a little Christmas gift for me, and inside was a box of cookies, right? And he gave me a Christmas card, and it was the first Christmas card for the store. So we put up a string and we hung up the Christmas cards on the string, and then 5 minutes after that, the second gift came in and the second card came in. So I was so glad that he came in when he did because I made a big deal because he was the first person to give us a store Christmas card this year. So it made him really proud. I really like it when the kids really learn well, right? And you got to give credit to the parents, especially the parents in this generation where moms are taking the job both parents, and not only that, they're working full time to put a roof over their kid, and they're trusting that the television and the video games are being good babysitters to their kids. Yeah. Right. We made some choices, but that doesn't mean we can't change our mind. We're quite capable, right? And we should be willing to say, "Oh my goodness, we might have made a mistake there." Right? Because men and women have been playing those roles for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? We settled into those roles. And yeah, we gave them a good stir in the 60s and 70s, didn't we? And we kicked up some dust there, and I think, right, the next generation is going to struggle a little bit. But that was only one, right? We made lots of silly decisions in that, didn't we? You know, right? And we should be allowed to make mistakes because it's in our mistakes that we're going to recognize whether or not we got it right or not. So, going back to what I was saying, that somebody's got to take those first steps, right? And like I said, it's not to be the guinea pig. We look out for our well-being, but if you have a good inkling, if you have a good sense about you, right? If you can read in between the lines and you have a little bit of a calculator, analytical mind that you can deduce, right? The next step moving forward, you know, comes a lot into my content in the past month or two. This idea that ignorance is no excuse, right? That we can't rely that we didn't know, officer, right? I'm sorry, I didn't know. Nobody told me that lesson, right? It should be common sense. The answer to absolutely everything is right here, right here, right in our fingertips. And what did they say? the and it's probably much further than that now, because this is an old one I probably heard 6 or 7 years ago. But the technology in our own phones is equal to, if not more, in its capabilities than what got us to the moon, right? So we have to appreciate how fast the digital age goes, and how fast can we keep up to it? I don't think we can, right? But can we hold on to our own, because we have capabilities and qualities that, right, the digital age just will not be able to ever replicate. And I shouldn't say never, because I kind of think that's what's being dabbled in right now. Not right now in our timeline, but somewheres down the road, right? That they're trying to figure out where we got it wrong, and maybe possibly giving us another shot at getting it right without going back to being a one-celled amoeba. It's the way my brain thinks sometimes, right? But it is in those perspectives, right? Because somebody's got one perspective, but he's missing one chunk, one piece, right, of that puzzle. And then in somebody else's perspective, somebody else's maybe silly idea, right? Maybe it was just something, a creative thought. And then that's what clicks. That becomes the missing piece. And something that was seemed like absolutely impossible to resolve totally opens up. And you never know. Maybe that thing that's opening up is the cure for cancer, right? The fountain of youth. I'm only laughing because when I said that, I was thinking of the TikTok videos, not TikTok videos, Instagram videos and stuff where ladies have got their faces all stitched up all the way around. And I was making a joke at work. I says, "Oh my goodness, I should make my own TikTok video, right? And I wouldn't have to go through that torture of surgery and elastics and pins and metal staples and scars and swelling and black and blue, right? Because this is my facelift. Good old fashioned ponytail. Just hit it up tight and it's done. Right? And it didn't cost me anything except for the price of the elastic. Okay. Um Melvin says stovepipe potatoes. Stovepipe potato. Are those the guns? The guns where you would shoot potatoes out? No, those were potato rockets. Didn't they call those potato rockets? I don't know what you're talking about, Melvin. Um, Melvin says, when I was in the bulk milk hauling business, we priced up a lot of calories. Man, I could tell you some stories about that ordeal. Oh, colonies. we we priced up at a lot of colonies. See, and that's me getting so far ahead in the conversation that I've lost track of what we were talking about. I remember talking about the colonies and the Hutterite ladies and how I wanted to come back next time, right? As a Hutterite. They're amazing. I think they got something right there. Not for the long haul, not for the end game, but for the times that we live in right now, that sometimes we have to tighten up and buckle up and join forces with our own, right? And yeah, because we're really recognizing, right, how many different communities and networks and, right, communities is absolutely involved in so many different ways. And I'm trying to think, because like you could be in sports and you can be in entertainment, you can be in news, you can be in travel, like there's so many different categories, right? Potatoes, big ones around outside of a sack. Stovepipe in the middle, filled with little ones, then pipe pulled out. Hence, stovepipe spuds. Okay. Okay there, Melvin. Oh my goodness. See? But this is the thing. We have these conversations, and though I'll never really understand about potato pipes, right? Melvin just schooled me a little bit. So if I should ever be able to jump into a conversation, at least I know a little bit that might be able to get me into that conversation rather than just staying up against the wall like a wallflower, right? Not being able to be included in anything because I didn't make the effort to learn, right? I like potatoes. I haven't had fresh potatoes in a while. Oh, when I went camping, I made some fried potatoes for breakfast one day. I did. I went online today, Melvin, to look at camp spots, and the first one was a park called Killarney Park in Ontario, and it was somebody bragging about the camp spot that they had found, and they made a little short video of this specific camp spot, and it was amazing. Oh goodness, it made any of my camp spots just like nothing. It was so amazing. So on my next trip, I just wrote it down here because to make a mental note that the next time I get into Ontario, I have to go to Killarney. But it's 18 hours into Ontario, this park. So it'll be on another one of my big trips. I think this year, Melvin, I'll be doing campgrounds in Manitoba. We're shooting for the vehicle this spring. So in order to get that done, plus a couple of other goals that I set for this year, like I need a new computer, a new desktop computer, and I need some dental work done on top of that, and the trip. So I need the vehicle this year, and I thought that maybe the way that I could save a little bit more money is if I really buckled down and then maybe saved in the travel expenses by touring some of the provincial parks here in Manitoba this year, right? So that's an idea. I have January 1st. I have less than a month to compact the plan, but so far that's the plan that's in the running. Okay. Uh in the early 60s, I remember seeing the potato guns on TV, but in real life I never saw the potato guns, but I know how they worked. But yeah, those outdoor games that we play, I was just talking about, we were playing knives, right? This was the game we played in the 70s where we'd grab mom's steak knives out of the kitchen and we'd throw knives at people's feet, and it would be like Twister, and you'd have to put your feet to wherever the steak knife was, and then if you were able to get there, you were able to take that knife out and throw it at the other person's feet. And the idea was to get everybody all twisted that they'd fall, right? And we called this knives, and it was such a dangerous game because you could like take out people's feet. We were just kids, right? And throwing steak knives into the ground, you can guarantee, right? I remember throwing a spoon at my sister's head, and it landed in her cheek, and it stuck out of her skin in her cheek, right? Like, it's not like I meant to do that, but in throwing the spoon, that's what happened, right? So I can't imagine some of those games that we played as kids in the 60s and 70s. Do you remember the clackers, Melvin? Oh my goodness, it was my favorite. Two Bakelite balls at the end of a string, and you go like this, and they would clack to each other, and half the time you'd be clacking your head with these balls, right? Yeah, I like the clackers. Hey, Dave. Oh, the lawn darts too. I remember those too. But everything is so safety now. Like even the kids in the playground, like what did we do? Our playgrounds were all stainless steel, right? Or in the 60s and 70s, they were all stainless steel. And if you fell off the swing, well, too bad for you. You snapped your neck. Too bad for you, right? And nowadays, everything is rubberized and soft sand and plastic. And yeah. And I don't mean to laugh, but it takes away from our resilience. And the thing is, the kids these days are learning their resilience in video games. That's where they're learning to be resilient. And that isn't a true to life situation. I mean, if the space aliens came and they had to go to battle and stuff, right? They could sit behind in their gaming chair and save the world, maybe, right? Maybe they were just supposed to sleep and not recognize or understand anything that's on in the world right now. They were just supposed to, they're just sleepers and they're just going to sleep through the whole thing. I i have no I have no idea. Yeah, so but that's our fault, you guys. It's in our choices that we're raising the next generation, and the next generation is raising the next generation. And I have to say, as a woman, I think that women's liberation was a big hit. That the mothers weren't at home with the children, helping with the schooling and helping with the social norms, that it became too easy for the TVs and the video games to babysit the kids. I mean, I came from that generation in the 70s. My mother was working full time, and I know that, right? Saturday cartoons. I got raised on Saturday cartoons, right? But right, because of my dynamic relationships within the household, I did spend a lot of time out in Mother Nature, right? That was a lucky coincidence, if you want to call it that. But yeah, it made a huge difference in my life, 100%. And as much as we can harp about the things that don't work out well, some of those things that don't serve us well, if you really look at them, they serve us well, right? And there are many gifts to come from that. And if you got some of those gifts, it's important to utilize them because you earn them, right? As long as they don't hurt anybody. Okay, you guys, I'm ending my live today. I was going to pull up a word, but we've already been kind of yapping about nothing for the past half an hour. So I think I would just like to put my quilt into my duvet cover. I would like to call it a day full of accomplishments. It was unintentional. I enjoyed my day. I didn't push myself. I said I was relaxing, and I did it in a very relaxing manner, but it leaves tomorrow completely open. So I'm going to work on getting that video together so everybody can see all my crystals and rocks and minerals that I got on my trip, and we'll get that edited and we'll get that up to you guys. I'll come in live tomorrow because I won't be posting the video tomorrow, but at the very least, I'll come in live tomorrow and let you know how it went, because I will be going down into the community center downstairs tomorrow, which means I might be interacting with other tenants in the building. And I am a private person, but at the same time, right, these are good people in this building. They don't see me very often, so I'm sure they're going to be curious too. Okay, you guys, that's my good chair. Have a great night. Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, Dave, for popping in tonight. For those of you who pop in later on, put your feet up. I hope your week is going well, right? I really do. Okay, you guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.